So you followed the plan, you bought a pre-sale condo in Surrey to build equity, right? To get ahead and to secure your future. But now that it's finally completing, the bank is telling you that it's worth $100K less than what you actually agreed to pay for it. And that missing money, well, it's going to be coming out of your pocket. And this is the gut punch that nobody warned buyers about. And it's becoming one of the biggest financial challenges in the market right now. The truth is that appraisals on brand new condos in Surrey are coming in low. And it's not just rarely either. It's happening more often than not. And it's catching a lot of buyers completely off guard, right at the worst possible time. But here's the part that almost nobody is talking about. You see, while some buyers are stuck scrambling to find that extra $80K or more just to close, some others are quietly finding some of the best deals that we have seen in years. And so in this video, I'm going to walk you through why appraisals are falling short, what it means if you're closing very soon, and how you can protect yourself or even take advantage of this market shift if you're on the buying side. And I'm going to show you the real data on what's happening with new construction prices in Surrey, how lenders are reacting behind the scenes, and what smart buyers are doing right now that most people are missing out entirely. So if you're buying, selling, or holding a pre-sale contract in Surrey, this information is something that you definitely need, because by the time you get that call from your lender, it might already be too late for you. All right, so let's get into it. And let me start off with the punchline here first. A lot of people who bought pre-sale condos in Surrey back in 21 and 2022, they're now closing on units that appraise for less than what they actually agreed to pay for them. And in many cases, a lot less. We're talking not about just a small dip here. We're talking about $100,000 difference in value. So if you look back at the stats in March of 2022, the median sales price for new construction condos in Surrey was about $715,000. Now, if you fast forward to the most recent stats, April 2025, that number has dropped to $615,000. That's a $100,000 gap. And if you bought during that peak window, you're likely feeling that pain right now. So let's break that down in real numbers so that it's really clear what this actually means for someone trying to close on a unit today. So let's say that you bought a pre-sale condo back in 2022 for $700,000. You plan to put down 20%. That's $140,000 of your own money. And you expected that the bank would be covering the remaining $560,000 with a mortgage, right? Now you fast forward to today. The building is complete and it's time for you to close. But here's the problem. Before the lender gives you that money, they're going to send out an appraiser. And that appraiser is there to determine what the condo is worth in today's market value. And this is where most people get caught completely off guard, because the appraiser, they are not looking at what you agreed to pay for the condo 2 years ago. They're looking at what comparable units have actually sold for recently, not list prices, but closed sales. So let's say the appraiser comes back and says, okay, this unit is worth $600,000 today. Well, your lender is only going to lend you 80% of that $600,000 value, not 80% of what you originally agreed to pay for that unit. So instead of getting your $560,000 that you were expecting, you're only going to be getting $480,000. So that means you are now going to need to come up with the difference. Now you need to actually come up with $220,000 in total instead of $140,000. So that's a very sudden and unexpected $80,000 shortfall. And for most people, that is not money that they can easily just find at the very last minute. And sadly, this is not a one-off story. One of the largest appraisal firms in the country, they recently reported that up to 50% of new condo completions, they're actually seeing appraisals fall below the original contract price. So this is becoming the new normal right now in certain parts of the market, and Surrey is definitely one of them. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, do me a favor, would you go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, okay? It really helps me get the word out to other people just like you looking for this kind of information. And of course, if you would like some help, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. There is a link in the description box below where you can schedule a call with me. All right, so let's keep going and let's keep things real here, because this didn't come out of nowhere. Back in 2021 and 2022, Surrey saw a flood of pre-sale activity. You know, back then rates were low, demand was sky high, and people were locking in prices on units that were still 2, 3, and even 4 years out from completion. But those buildings are all completing now and in a completely different market. Right now, rates are up, prices, they've pulled back, and buyer demand, it has definitely softened. So, you know, the prices that people agreed to pay back in 2022, they just don't match where the market is today. And when appraisers are looking for comparable sales, they're finding lower numbers, especially from sellers who need to get out quickly and are willing to take a loss. Those sold prices are their reference point, and that's what lenders go by. So understanding that, let's add another layer to all of this. You see, new construction sales in Surrey have been dropping all year long. And a big part of that is that a lot of these new builds, well, let's just say that they aren't designed for real life. We're seeing floor plans that are too small even for a couple, let alone, you know, a small family. You know, bedrooms, they barely fit a bed. Kitchens, there's no space. There's no storage. And, you know, it's just simply not functional for most people. And so buyers are starting to look elsewhere. And that's where the twist comes in, because even though new construction is struggling, get this, resale condo sales have actually been climbing all year. So why is that? Well, it's because savvy buyers are seeing the opportunity. They're getting better layouts with more livable space, and it's all at better prices. And it's all without the uncertainties that often comes with buying a pre-sale. So, you know, while on one side the market is slowing down, on the other side, it's quietly warming up. So yes, some buyers are taking big hits trying to close on pre-sale units. However, other buyers, well, they're finding some of the best opportunities that we have seen in years. Resale inventory is up and sellers are motivated, which means you've got leverage. So if you're a first-time buyer or you're someone who's looking to make a move, this market can actually work in your favor. You just need to know how to negotiate properly and what to look for. But listen, if you are already in this situation and your appraisal came in low, you do still have some options, okay? So first, you want to make sure that you speak with your lender, because some banks will honor the original price if they finance the project through what they call a blanket appraisal. Now, this is rare, okay, but it is definitely worth asking about. Second, you're going to want to look at alternative financing. You might be able to bridge the gap with a second mortgage or maybe a private lender or even help from a family member, okay? Third, if you are thinking about walking away, please be sure to talk with a lawyer first, because it's not just your deposit that's going to be on the line here. Believe it or not, the developer can actually also sue you for the difference. So, you know, if they have to resell your unit for less than what the contract price was, they could sue you for that difference. So the key here really is that you want to make sure that you start this process early. Even if your completion is still months away, you're going to want to get all of your financing strategy in place right now and not later, all right? But condos are just one part of this story, because right now, townhouses and detached homes, they're going through their very own shifts, right? And in some ways, the pressure is building under the surface, and it's even bigger than what's happening with condos. You know, inventory is climbing, buyer activity is changing, and sellers, well, in those segments, they're starting to make moves that, well, we haven't seen in a very long time. So in my next video, I'm going to break it all down exactly what's happening with townhouses and with detached homes right now in this current market. We'll talk about where the prices are trending, what's selling, what's not selling, and what it means if you're planning to buy or sell in the next 6 months. Now, if you have any questions and you want to chat more about any of this, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.